Mm. Oh, this is a very brief introduction of this upcoming journey of Earth speech. And Earth speech is a journey that's offered in a more traditional path, where we're tapping into these oral tradition, where we're tapping into what we call the ancestral well of stories, myths, folk tales, and songs, kind of stories that activate this remembrance of how we are part of a greater story, how we're part of the Earth story, how we're actually an extension of the Earth streaming, right? So what we found is in our modern times, we're in a time that the elders are sharing, we're in a time of breaking enchantments. We're in a time of remembering. It's been shared that we have long been spellcast through this colonized industrial conditioning, this Christian kind of conditioning, where we are conditioned into a kind of psychological prison that binds us in a sense that we are separate from nature, separate from the dreaming itself, separate from this interconnection of life, has bound us in this self-defeating loop where we have this conditioned mentality that we approach life from as an adversary. Our health is an adversary, our relationships, our career. We're locked in a transactional mindset where we are asking, well, what am I going to get from this? Rather than like an indigenous mindset is like, well, how do I contribute to this? How do I nourish the dreaming or that which I want so it will naturally blossom? Right? We are breaking free from this mentality of scarcity and separateness, where this colonized Christian veil has been placed over our greater interconnectedness, our greater sense of belonging. And so, even though we are surrounded by connection, we feel separate and alone. So through Earth Speech, this is a kind of journey, a traditional path where we are moving out to have direct experience with what we call the mythic nature of life, which is this lens and perception, this way of experiencing life as the indigenous cultures and the old Europeans used to experience life, was understanding there is breaking free from this literal lens and coming into what we call the river beneath the river. When we can tap into the river beneath the river, we're tapping into what like the Navajo and the Hopi call the original instructions given to us by Creator, or my teachers in India called the original understandings. The Aborigine call these the original song lines. Cultures around the world all have a word for this original understanding, which brings us back into this interconnectedness with life, weaves us back into a belonging with the land, and hence this greater story, because the elders are sharing that we have all fallen out of our story. We've fallen out of the earth story and forgotten how we are an extension of the earth streaming. And so earth speech is this it's more of a traditional path. It's not a course of study and techniques. It's where we're gathering around the fire, both the virtual fireside, Zoom, as well as live fires. And through this oral story, we're tapping into these ancestral wells of stories and folk tales and songs from around the world that hold a kind of felt remembrance in them that activates that in us. And we dialogue and we reflect. You gain these invitations to go out into these areas in your own local areas that are known as power places, places of great beauty and significance in nature, where you will have a felt experience of the mythic and these ancestral remembrances, a way of tuning ourselves to the way our ancestors once listened, that weave us back into the deeper meanings and movements of life, where we can see life as an initiatory path that is helping to blossom and bloom the dreamings that we each hold within us, because those dreamings are part, just like every plant out here is contributing to the greater ecosystem of life. So if you feel a resonance here and you would like to tap into this river beneath the river and come into a more traditional experience, through direct experience and story. Right? As one of my mentors, Ben, a Hopi elder who's passed now, he shared, don't seek information. He said, seek the experiences, seek the stories, seek the conversations that's going to stir. It's going to stir these remembrances that are yet held in your bone memory. See, it's said, this is part of that mythic nature, that soul language, soul speech. And like it's said that in the hut of ancestral knowledge, there is a cauldron on the hearth fire, and your grandmother's mother is stirring the stew of memories. And as she stirs the stew of memories, you remember. And as you remember, the spell cast enchantments of your aloneness, of your separateness, of your smallness, they break away. You remember where you come from. You remember your belonging has always been. So if you feel a resonance with this, I want to invite you to join us for Earth Speech. It's a very profound journey. It's a way of remembering ourselves home, breaking enchantments, remembering our own power to bloom the dreamings we hold within us, within the greater story, within the Earth story, to be a part of the Earth's dreaming. Oh, okay. Reach out to me. You can email me at learning@treeoftotems.com or just message me directly. Feel into Earth Speech and let's connect. Oh.